everyone. How are you? Happy Monday. I kept thinking today was Tuesday. I don't know why. I don't want to rush the week or my summer break, but I kept thinking today was Tuesday for some reason. But it is only Monday. Hey, Pookie, thanks for being here. Today was really busy for me. I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but we were under a heat warning. So I stayed in today cleaning up blankets. I found a whole tub of blankets in the kitten room that I haven't used in probably more than a year. So I washed them all again today, even though they were, they were in a plastic tub. Washed them all today, and I will be donating them tomorrow. So I'm very excited to get those out of here. And I match socks, which is something I hate doing, but it had to be done. So I did get a lot done, but not as much as I had hoped. But here we are. We are going to, and I want to thank Pookie for sending me this story because I hadn't seen it in my newsfeed, but there was a mass shooting in Birmingham, Alabama on Saturday. And in that, there was also 3 others killed, including a 5-year-old little boy, while they were driving. So Birmingham had a really bad weekend. And so we're going to talk about both stories. So even though my thumbnail is more so about the nightclub shooting, which was a birthday party, I'm not sure what's happening with, there was actually in Dadeville, Alabama, it was a Sweet 16 birthday party where there was a mass shooting. I don't know, and it seems like it never ends. And it just, I don't understand it, why people have to do these things, but they do. And, I had looked, there was an article that I had thought about using today from USA Today, but I decided not to because I found one that was a little bit more informative. And as of today, there have been 296 mass shootings. And by their definition, a mass shooting is one in which 4 or more people are shot, not including the shooter. And that is insane because I don't know. Actually, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to ask Google, what number day of the year is it? Okay, so today, July 15th, is day 197 of the year 2024. So and today for me is almost over. There have been 296 mass shootings. That is more than one every single day already this year. That's not okay. Oh, thank you, Pookie. Yes, and actually, speaking of Wade Wilson, next Tuesday, the 23rd, is his sentencing date. So I am planning on, unless something comes up, I am planning on being live for his sentencing. So definitely keep that in mind. And Stephen Schwally, who is the man who was allegedly drunk driving, who drove into a nail salon in Deer Park, Long Island, he's in court on the 19th. I don't know if that will be televised, but we will definitely do an update on him. And then I feel like August 23rd is Marcella Chidester's pre-trial hearing. And again, Marcella is the drunk driver who drove into a children's birthday party at a boat club in Michigan. So those are coming up as well. Okay, give me one moment. All right, so again, I had said hi to Pookie, and thank you again for sending me this story. I do appreciate it. Lynn, thanks for being here. Hey, Tuxedo Baby. Sinner, thanks for being here. Spirit Moon, love the photo. Pookie, yeah, hey, Lickers. All right, so we're going to get started. And again, I tried to put these in the most logical order. There is a press conference that we will listen to. So some of the clips will have parts of the press conference in it, but there were some things that, you know, I couldn't get it in a great order. At the end, depending on time, I may just give a few updates, which they're not really updates, on Taylor Casey, the woman who is missing from the Bahamas. To me, law enforcement is just, they're being defiant and they're digging their heels in, and it's not cool. It's not cool, but we'll get to that later. All right, so let's start. And so this is the establishment that it was at, and the first article or the news clip that I had watched and some of the other articles I saw had called this a nightclub. But then other news clips and articles called it a social club or event center. This to me is not a nightclub. Like, I think, you know, flashy lights, things like that. But I mean, it was an event center where a birthday party was being held. The driver I shouldn't say the driver. A car drove by and started shooting, specifically directly into the nightclub and outside the nightclub. 4 people were killed, 10 others injured, which means 14 people were shot. And again, it's not okay that people are losing their lives because someone doesn't know how to use their words.
Back here at home, Birmingham police, they're dealing with the most violent 24-hour period in the city's history this century. 17 people shot in what police call targeted attacks.
Just awful. WVTM 13's Lisa Crane is live and local at police headquarters where city.
And you heard that right, because I actually had to listen again. 17 people were shot in Birmingham this past weekend. 7 of them, nearly half of those people, lost their lives.
State and federal law enforcement held a press conference, Lisa, just a short time ago.
Yeah, it was a packed conference room here at police headquarters this afternoon. The room filled with local, state, and federal authorities, all with one goal: to find the person or the persons responsible for a deadly Saturday in Birmingham. 14 people shot, 4 of them killed Saturday night at this event center in North Birmingham.
There are too many families who have been devastated and destroyed because of gun violence in our city. And everyone in this room, to be frank, is just sick and tired of it.
Residents in the area seem to be fed up as well.
We got women there. We got kids running around with guns, and the mayor and the councilman do not care.
Birmingham's police chief called state and federal officials to help with this weekend of violence, from the Secret Service to the FBI and ATF. This incident was a targeted attack at a birthday party being held on 20.
And so again, they do believe that both incidents were targeted, specifically this at the birthday party.
27th Street North. But at this point, they say they don't know which of the 14 victims was the target.
We know 100% there are people who know who's responsible and they know what happened. And we need that information so we can bring justice to these families and restore safety to our community and to our city.
The BPD, the federal partners, and other community partners can move at a very high speed to solve for these cases and bring justice to these families. But it moves faster with community buy-in and community support.
They've been pleading for community support for months and calling these incidents of gun violence unacceptable, yet they continue to occur.
And are you telling me that no one cleaned up the remnants of what happened there? I just realized that. This man just walked by the establishment and there were bloody like it looked like a sheet or something laying still outside the building. Like, what? I would think that would be a biohazard, first of all. And just to leave that laying out.
How do you get them to change the behavior of people who can't resolve conflict, who use a firearm to resolve all their issues? That's difficult. That's very difficult. And so that's the underlying issue here.
It breaks my heart. I mean, because of the community itself. Birmingham has a great community, right? But if we can get all the people in the community to get along with each other.
Now, when we ask what type of support the FBI, ATF, and Secret Service might be offering the city of Birmingham, the chief replied, whatever we need. Live in Birmingham, Lisa Crane, WVTM 13.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that in the thumbnail. The remnants of the shooting are just laying out in front of the building. Like, what? All right, so next we do have the press conference. It's about 14 minutes. I am going to try to just play this through. I'll take notes as they speak and then discuss after. Right, Sinner? Like, what the F?
So good afternoon. My name is Scott Thurman, the Service Chief of Police for the Birmingham Police Department. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce some of our guests with us today. I have Jefferson County Sheriff Mark Petway. I have Jeremy Sherrill with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Wilma Combs with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Jonathan Prell, Chief U.S. Marshal Service. We have Patrick Davis, Special Agent in Charge, Secret Service. Have Carlton Peoples, Special Agent in Charge, FBI.
And give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can find one with closed captioning. This one does not. And there was another local news station that had the press conference, but I didn't think to. Oh, JLR, you're copying me. I just saw JLR did a video, or no, he did a live about the same thing. All right, and his thumbnail looks very much like mine. Okay. Anyways, let me. All right, I probably won't be able to find it now that I want it. All right, we'll just stick with this one for now, I guess.
We have Tyra Cunningham, Assistant Special Agent in Charge, ATF. We have the Honorable Mayor Randall Woodfin. We have the Honorable Counselor LaTanya Tate. We have Deputy Chief Rodarius Malden and Deputy Chief Henri Pruitt. We also have some members of our community partners who will lead our hospital-linked violence intervention team. And so we call this meeting today to speak to you all about the gun violence that has devastated our city in the last 24 hours. The last 24 hours, we lost 7 community members and 10 others were injured by gun violence. This is terribly unacceptable. And we have partnered with all of these men and women here today to combat this issue, to combat what has occurred in the last 24 hours, and to let everyone know this is unacceptable and that we will not tolerate this behavior any longer in our city. There are too many families who have been devastated and destroyed because of gun violence in our city. And everyone in this room, to be frank, is just sick and tired of it. And it has to stop today. And we are partnering with everyone else who is here today, but there's one piece that we need. We need the community to assist us in bringing justice to these families, restoring safety to our city and our communities. So we've got a strategy, and our strategy is we've deployed all of our detectives in the Birmingham Police Department to focus on these two particular cases to bring justice. And for those who are responsible for those heinous crimes, I want you to know that we will be coming for you with full force. With every piece of law enforcement that we have, we will be coming for you. And to our community members, I just want you to know and understand that we hear you, we're with you, and we're doing everything we can to bring justice to these families and to restore safety and peace to our communities. And we will not stop until that is achieved. I'd also like to thank a number of other people who have helped us in the last 24 hours. The Birmingham Fire Rescue personnel who have worked tirelessly in trying to combat and save these individuals who are injured. The UAB hospital staff and other hospitals. I know Princeton Hospital was involved, Jefferson County Coroner's Office. These incidents not only affect our community, but they also affect our Birmingham Police Department family. Our men and women have worked very hard in the last 24 hours dealing with these situations. When you have a large shooting scale like we did in the last 24 hours, both these incidents, it's very tasking. And so those men and women see that a lot. They have to work through that, but they continue to work hard and serve our community, and they will continue to do that. And I'll defer to Mayor Randall Woodfin, see if he has any comments.
Thank you, Chief. Just a few. One, let me express my sincere appreciation for all the partners you see standing here. It is a Sunday. I can tell you that none of the men and women you see standing here want to be here. But we all either took an oath or have all sworn and committed to making our community safer. And so again, I express my sincere appreciation for them taking time out of their Sundays to be here and stand in solidarity for something that is not only heinous against our community, but how in partnership we are going to tackle and solve for this issue. And so a lot of innocent people were shot and killed yesterday. Many others were wounded. The Birmingham Police Department, as it's been stated, along with our federal partners, have one priority. They have one priority right now, and that is simply to hunt down the people who committed these heinous acts in two separate incidents. It has been stated, but it is worth repeating, that these victims, as well as their family members who are left to pick up the pieces, deserve swift justice. Swift justice. The shooters, and I would say the shooter or the shooters, deserve no safe harbor or haven from other community members. They don't deserve it from their own family, their friends, or strangers. No one should provide safe harbor to the people who committed these acts. I think it's also worth mentioning that BPD's investigation, as well as with our partners, is better off with credible information that comes from the community. And so I want to make a public plea to those listening to this press conference. There is a number you can call, 205-254-7777. That is the number to Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers has a process by whatever information you share. It does not have to include your name, your address, or your phone number. You will be protected and you can remain anonymous. But let me define how swift justice works. We, the BPD, the federal partners, and other community partners can move at a very high speed to solve for these cases and bring justice to these families. But it moves faster with community buy-in and community support. So again, I make a public plea that we know someone knows something or saw something. So come forward, give credible information so we can take these shooters off our streets and continue to protect our community. With that, and I pass it back to the Birmingham Police Department.
One very important fact I neglected to mention earlier was that both these shootings were targeted. These were not random shootings. And I need to make that very clear to everyone here and everyone who's listening. These were not random shootings. Both of these incidents were targeted. So that should make it easier for information to become available to the Birmingham Police Department to bring resolve to our community, to these families. We know 100% there are people who know who's responsible and they know what happened, and we need that information so we can bring justice to these families and restore safety to our community and to our city. Any questions?
Chief, can you tell us, since you know that they were both targeted, what the motive was in each of the two shootings?
I'm really not focused on motive today. I'm focused on the mission of solving both of these crimes. And that's the important part. And I think that's what we need to focus on today. And that's what this team and I have discussed prior to this, is solving these cases and restoring safety to our city. That's the number one priority. We do know, yes, they were targeted. I can tell you that without getting into intricacies of both cases. Let's just focus on solving these cases and getting some justice for these families. That's the most important part here today.
Right. You just often talk about people, places,
Right.
behaviors. So I wondered.
I'm not going to get into all that today. That's not the focus of this press conference. The focus of this press conference is all these men and women who are involved in law enforcement, no matter what agency or a level of government they work for, have committed to solving these crimes. And that's our mission. And that's what we're going to proceed forward with.
Do you have this level of support for every homicide?
Yes. If we have officers assigned with all of these agencies as task force officers. So they're always a phone call away. I called them 2 hours ago on a Sunday, and they were able to get dressed and get here and said, I'll be there. What time do you need me? So just to show the level of support that we have, if they're busy and they really didn't care, they wouldn't be here. Yes.
Can you go into detail about what type of support they'll be supplying the city as they investigate these cases?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's what do you need? It's what do you need? We're willing to assist you in any way, shape, form, or possible with whatever you need and your officers, your detectives need to get this, to make this happen.
Is that manpower, financial resources?
That's whatever we need. And they've done it before. They continue to assist us daily. They're here again, showing their support, that they're here and part of our community and want the same thing that we all want, which is a safer Birmingham. Yes, ma'am.
The club where the shooting happened last night, is that a official club? Is that just a gathering place?
So it appears to be an event center that was rented out for a party is what it was.
And these two incidents were unrelated to each other? There's no connection?
There's no connection that we have at this point in time.
I know
Yes,
you
sir.
say it was targeted, but for those 10 individuals that were there, were they just caught in the crossfire? Were they random people?
Well, that's one thing we got to look at. We don't, who was the target or who were the targets? So that's part of the investigation that we will uncover moving forward to help solve those cases.
And are you getting cooperation from the other folks who were there at that event?
We are getting some Crime Stopper tips, but as the mayor said, we always need more. I think BPD, there's been 3 instances that come to mind this year where BPD had pretty critical cases. Information came in quickly. We were with our federal partners and other local law enforcement partners. We're able to make quick arrests. We can do the same thing in these cases too, if we just get the information that we need. And we've shown that we're willing to work swiftly around the clock if we just get that community engagement, that community information.
Can you tell us the relationship between the 3 people, including the 5-year-old killed in the car, what their relationship was?
The child and the female was mother, son, and then the male, we believe, was possibly a boyfriend.
Are of the, and we were talking about this earlier, to confirm, we had a total of, we had 4 people killed at the club, and then it went up to 10 injured.
So we have 3 that were shot near Echo Highlands Park that were killed.
No, I'm talking about.
I know, I'll get to that.
Okay.
Then we had 4 that were killed outside at the event center and 10 that were injured by gunfire at the event center. So you had 7 that were murdered yesterday and 10 that were injured by gunfire.
At the event center, so 14 total shot or deceased, is that correct?
Correct.
Were there any other shootings last night? Not related?
I believe there was another one outside another area nightclub. Yes.
That playhouse?
Yes, down on 2nd Avenue.
Do you know if that was life threatening or not?
It's not.
Okay, and then of the 10 victims from North Birmingham, did they all show up at the hospital, private vehicle? Or
Some were
was it-
transported by Birmingham Fire and Rescue. So that's, when you have that many people injured in anything, whether it's a car accident or something like this, it's very tasking on your emergency services, from your 911 call takers to your dispatchers, Birmingham Fire and Rescue personnel, Birmingham Police Department, our local hospitals, for them to get prepared to accept that many patients. That's not something we normally see. So it's very tasking on all levels of emergency response.
What would you say to families? Because one of these seems to be a family who was at the park. Would you say anything to families now who might be worried about taking their children out to public parks or going out and worrying about gun violence?
Well, there again, I think it goes back to the targeted piece. And if, was this just someone randomly showing up and shooting people at the park? So no. So if that's not the case,
can you elaborate on why that shooting was targeted? What maybe led to that being targeted?
that's part of the investigation. So that would hinder our investigation at this point in time.
So do you believe that in the Echo Highlands shooting that they knew each other, the shooter and the victim?
Yes.
It wasn't just an argument between people
No.
who didn't know each other that escalated.
Correct.
We've heard in several of these press conferences over the recent history from you and the mayor as well, that these things are unacceptable, yet they keep on happening. And I know time and time again, you've told us all the assets you have to put forward on these. It sounds like you're doing all of that. Is there anything beyond that you can do time after time when we talk?
I think the challenge is how does a law enforcement agency or a city government change the behavior of its citizens, of adults? And I think that's the underlying question. How does a law enforcement agency or a government, which I don't really think that's what the people want today in 2024, how do you get them to change the behavior of people who can't resolve conflict, who use a firearm to resolve all their issues? That's difficult. That's very difficult. And so that's the underlying issue here. I'm not going to go into that any farther. The mission is to solve these cases, and we'll just kind of leave that at that. You had a question, sir?
Yes, sir. We're hearing about a vehicle found on fire on Tarrant Huffman Road. Is there any reason to believe that might be connected to either of these shootings?
I don't have any information on that at this point in time.
Last few questions.
Is the 14 shot at the club last night, is that the largest number of people Birmingham has ever had shot in one incident?
I don't know. I mean, I can tell you from my almost 26 years having 7 murdered in a day and 10 injured, I think that's probably the highest that we've ever had in a day. That's probably the most tragic day in my time with the Birmingham Police Department.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Crazy. So again, and thank you to everyone who is here. I appreciate you being here. This took place in North Birmingham, Alabama this past weekend. There were 2 separate incidents. Both police believe were targeted. One happened at initial reports at a nightclub, but as as police said, it was an event center where a birthday party was being held. There were 14 shot. 4 of those died. And in a separate incident, 3 people were shot and killed in a car. It was called in as a car accident, but when police arrived on scene, they discovered that all 3 occupants, including a 5-year-old boy, had been shot. So a total of 17 shot, and 7 of those lost their lives. And I couldn't agree more with, police saying these people, he said it in different words. I say they don't know how to use their words, so they resort to violence to settle the score. Instead of having a conversation or using their words appropriately, they just grab a weapon and settle it that way. Hey, don't F with unicorns. How are you? Yeah, I wonder who that lady is. I'm not sure who she is. She didn't speak, but I think she's probably just frustrated and sad, just like, the others. It's insane. It's insane. So this video is more specifically about the 3 individuals who were killed while driving. They ended up, this blue car you can see in the thumbnail by the trees, that is the car where they were located.
Frustrated police chief makes a promise after one of the most violent days he's seen in his law enforcement career. 7 people murdered, 10 others injured in 2 separate shootings. And the violence is not contained to Birmingham city limits. Good evening. I'm Megan Scarano. Tonight, deputies with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office are investigating after 3 more people were injured in a shooting. This was the scene shortly after 7 o'clock on the 2400 block of 5th Street Northwest in Center Point. We're told the victims are a teenage girl and 2 adult men. We are working to get additional information about the shooter. Meanwhile, Birmingham.
Okay, so there was actually another incident.
Birmingham police are searching for killers in 2 attacks on Saturday. One killed 3 people, including a 5-year-old child. The other took 4 lives and injured 10 others during a birthday party at an event center.
Holy crap. Hold on a second. So I was just looking at this car. I mean, whoever shot at them, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a couple shots in the windshield. I'm not sure if this window was shot out or what's happening here, but whoever did this, oh, in here, it looks like there's a couple more over here. Like, what the heck? What the heck?
10 others during a birthday party
Jesus.
at an event center. This is a list of each of those killed. Many are young, a lifetime of opportunity now lost. Each of their families now forced to plan their funerals. City leaders.
Oh, and I thought she was going to say the names because, again, you know, those who lost their lives is important. So in the Indian Summer Drive shooting, which I did write down when the I believe he was the chief was speaking, I had wrote down cameras, ring cameras. You know, the fact that they have no suspects is scary at this point. But I mean, the same thing happened at the Juneteenth celebration in Round Rock, Texas. The description they had was he was wearing black. Well, that's not really helpful, but they had witnesses, they had video. So I'm hoping that one of those homes had some type of ring camera or something that, you know, can lead police to find out who did this. So in that, the car shooting, Landon Brooks, 5, Arkia Berry, 28, who was Landon's mom, and Eric Ashley Jr., 28, who again was believed to be Arkia's boyfriend.
Time of opportunity now lost. Each of their families now forced to plan their funerals. City leaders.
And then at the event center / nightclub birthday party, the 4 killed were Larandis Anderson, 24, Stevie McGee, 39, Markeisha Gettings, 42, and Angela Weatherspoon, 56.
Leaders and law enforcement came together this afternoon to address the bloodshed. ABC 3340's Austin Pratt is in the newsroom. Austin, the shooters and those who protect them are being put on notice.
Megan, many promises were made to crack down on the violence in the city. Birmingham Police Chief Scott Thurman promises to hold the individuals responsible for Saturday's shootings and the many others plaguing the city accountable.
For those who are responsible for those heinous crimes, I want you to know that we will be coming for you with full force. With every piece of law enforcement that we have, we will be coming for you.
Saturday's shootings have lit a fire in the belly of law enforcement and the mayor's office in Birmingham.
A lot of innocent people were shot and killed yesterday. Many others were wounded.
Saturday's shootings resulted in 7 people being killed, 10 others injured. The first shooting, a targeted attack, took the life of a Hoover man, a woman, and her 5-year-old son. They were shot while inside a vehicle in Northwest Birmingham. The other, a celebration, cut short when someone drove by the entertainment venue and fired into the building. Police believe in both cases.
And again, just, so there were, I believe, 2 of the victims who were killed were outside the venue in this instance, and the others were inside the venue. But again, someone just drives by and shoots into the building and ends up shooting 14 people, killing 4 of them.
The shootings were targeted. The shooter and victims likely knew one another. BPD says someone has the answers needed to close these cases, but no one is stepping up.
We know 100% there are people who know who's responsible and they know what happened, and we need that information so we can bring justice to these families and restore safety to our community and to our city.
The city of Birmingham is taking steps to make neighborhoods safer. Tomorrow will mark 1 week since the city implemented safe measures in Eastlake to restrict traffic flow in and out of that community. We'll be keeping a close eye on the city leaders to see if similar steps are taken in other neighborhoods. Megan?
Austin Pratt reporting. And
okay, so I just wanted to look up. They're saying they're restricting traffic? Of this community. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little sidebar here. So I just Googled it. And so it says Eastlake residents give mixed reaction to Safe Streets initiative. Several roads have been closed to traffic. Okay, so it looks like, well, I was hoping that I could just use that thumbnail, but thank you for putting an ad up. So it says there's a new plan to reduce crime in the Eastlake community of Birmingham. However, it's getting mixed reactions from residents in the area. Mayor Randall Woodfin announced a new pilot program called Safe Streets. It's a safety initiative designed to create a safer, cleaner community for residents in the Eastlake neighborhood, stated a news release dated July 3rd. The plan is to limit the number of entry and exit points within a certain perimeter of homes, schools, and businesses, as well as adding traffic calming measures at intersections. This comes after a concerning number of crimes in the area. We received different reaction from people in the neighborhood. Some are happy the city is doing something that could lead to a change. Others are not happy about having to find different routes. The common answer people shared was tearing down abandoned houses. Residents also want to see overgrown lots. Let me just pause that there. Want to see overgrown lots taken care of by the city. They have to do what's necessary to stop the crime that's going on, Antoine Parker said. It is not just about keeping crime out, Woodfin said. In addition to decreasing crime, in addition to reducing the day walkers and prostitution, in addition to cleaning up the alleys, drying out the trap houses and dope houses, we also want to seed in hope. These residents deserve to live in peace, to freely walk their sidewalks and allow their children to go outside to play. Before the barricades were put in place to block traffic, one neighbor says he thought the city would be paving streets. This map shows the perimeter for the closures. I'll show that in a moment. Crime has been a problem for Eastlake for years. Renee Robinson visits her grandmother in the area quite often. She doesn't think the barricades and road closures are the answer to the familiar problem. Just the other day, when they were shooting, the 2 assailants were riding down the street shooting at each other. With the barricade right there, it may stop them from getting down this way. But she feels that people will learn what roads drivers can and cannot get through. The safety plan includes adding barriers, speed bumps, and signs intended to deter speeding vehicles and drive-by shootings. Okay, and then they just go through the closures. So interesting. Let me just show you this. This was what I wanted to see on that thumbnail. So you can see where it's almost like boxed in this section. They have like here's a 4-way stop. They blocked this for some reason. They have 4-way stop. And then you can see how and this looks like it's a 1-way. So they're blocking people from getting into this section. You'd have to go all the way around and then in. That's interesting to me. And again, that was just July 3rd. So I wonder if in the past, week and a half or so, if anything has actually changed in that sense. All right, so we're going to get back to, so again, this is focused on the 3 who were killed inside their vehicle.
We're also learning about the 3 victims in yesterday's triple homicide on Indian Summer Drive.
Yeah, so one of those, a 5-year-old boy. Investigators say Eric Ashley, Arkia Berry, and her 5-year-old son, Landon Brooks, were fatally shot yesterday evening around 5:30. Officers found them in a crashed car on Indian Summer Drive. That's right near the Echo Highlands neighborhood. First responders confirmed they died at the scene. Officers say the driver of the car crashed into someone's yard following the shooting.
We've deployed all of our detectives in the Birmingham Police Department to focus on these 2 particular cases to bring justice. And for those who are responsible for those heinous crimes, I want you to know that we will be coming for you with full force. With every piece of law enforcement that we have, we will be coming for you.
No one is in custody. Well, Birmingham police will be providing a QR code for the community. You can see that right here and scan it on your screen so you can upload evidence in the triple and quadruple homicide investigations if you know anything.
And I thought that was pretty cool. You can just scan a QR code. You'll be brought to probably a website where you can upload evidence. I mean, technology has come so far. All right. And this last article, this last video, before we get to the article, is about the community, like just remembering those that were killed at the event center / nightclub at the birthday party. Hey, Healing Time. Thanks for being here.
Well, tonight, all hands on deck in Birmingham following 2 separate shootings that left several people dead, nearly a dozen more hurt.
Just awful. One of those shooting victims, a 5-year-old boy. Officers say Landon Brooks, his mother, Arkia Berry, and Eric Ashley were traveling on Indian Summer Drive when someone fired shots and killed them. Their cars shortly afterwards crashed into a nearby yard. No suspects are in custody tonight.
And just 7 hours later, officers responded to a birthday party where they say over a dozen people were shot in a matter of minutes. This was at an event space on 27th Street North just after 11 o'clock last night. 4 people were killed. Officers identified them as Larandis Anderson, Stevie McGee, Markeisha Gettings, and Angela Weatherspoon. All but Anderson died at the scene. He died at UAB Hospital, where officers say 10 other people were brought in with injuries. Well, tonight we had the chance to speak with a gun violence advocate who knew one of the victims personally.
Our WVTM 13's Jarvis Robertson live and local for us in studio tonight with more on their conversation. Jarvis.
Yeah, Guy, Brittany, I spoke with Wanda Waldridge, and she is no stranger to gun violence. It has affected her in one of the most heartbreaking ways many years ago. Now it's causing grief in her life again because one of the victims in that deadly mass shooting at the event center is someone she knew.
To please stop the violence and increase the peace.
Wanda Waldridge believes the violence in Birmingham is truly heartbreaking. Police say Angela Weatherspoon is one of the 4 victims killed in the mass shooting Saturday night. Waldridge says they were friends.
I remember her and how sweet she was when I first met her. She was an angel to me, and I really cared about her a lot.
Unfortunately, this tragedy reminds her too much of the past.
It's heartfelt how I seen all these things happening. Took me back to when my son got killed 18 years ago. His murder still unsolved.
And to this very moment, there's not a day that goes by she doesn't think of her son. Wardrich says more prayer is needed across the Magic City to put an end to the heartbreak.
People can start loving each other. We need more love in our community. If we had more love and love one another more, this will stop. The heart is what we need to reach. The heart.
City officials said during a news conference Sunday afternoon that safe harbor should not be given to any suspects involved in deadly acts such as this. Police Chief Scott Thurman was very direct with his message.
And that's one thing I hope is that if the individuals, if they're young individuals who may live at home or whose family or friends, other friends know what happened, that they tell law enforcement. It's, something that doesn't normally happen, but I mean, families were destroyed because of one or more person's actions.
Coming for you with full force, with every piece of law enforcement that we have, we will be coming for you.
While there are still more questions that need answering, there's a city hurting from a very common problem that seems to be only getting worse.
Please put your weapons down. Pick up the word of God.
Now, Birmingham.
Wait a minute. That just ended like that? What the heck? All right. Well, I guess that's all set. I do have one last article that I wanted to read just because it gives a little bit more detail to these incidents. Oh, that's so cool, Healing Time. Today's my day off. Love spending my time in the morning with crew here. Sad stories and good company. Aw, thank you, Healing Time. I appreciate that. So it says, Birmingham police asked for help solving shootings that killed 7. Quote, most tragic day in my time. And this was updated this morning. So this is the incident on, what was the name of it again? I don't remember the name of the street or the community, but again, the car involved is over in this area somewhere. 2 separate shootings in Birmingham on Saturday that left 7 people dead and 10 others wounded was the most violent day in the city's recent memory. Having 7 murdered in a day and 10 injured is probably the most tragic day in my time with the Birmingham Police Department, Police Chief Scott Thurman said Sunday. There are too many families who have been devastated and destroyed because of gun violence in our city. Everyone in this room, to be frank, is sick and tired of it, and it has to stop today. The police chief emphasized that both shootings were targeted incidents. He declined to comment on the motives, saying he was staying focused on solving both crimes. These were not random shootings. That should make it easier for information to become available to the BPD to bring resolve. Thurman and Birmingham Mayor Randall Woodfin held a press conference Sunday afternoon and were joined by leaders of the FBI, the U.S. Secret Service, the U.S. Marshals Service, the Bureau of ATF-E, and the U.S. Attorney's Office, as well as Jefferson County Sheriff Mark Petway and Birmingham City Council Public Safety Chair LaTanya Tate. Also in attendance were members of a hospital violence intervention team. The UAB hospital has programs to assist survivors of gun violence and try to prevent future conflict. Thurman said the violence on Saturday has devastated the community. The first shooting happened shortly before 5:30 p.m. Saturday near the entrance to Echo Highlands Park, which on the city's east, which is on, okay, whoever wrote this article didn't have an editor apparently, which is on the city's east side. Killed were Arkia Berry, 28, her 5-year-old son Landon Brooks, and her boyfriend, 28-year-old Eric Ashley Jr. And this is outside the birthday party. The second deadly shooting, a drive-by, happened just after 11 p.m. at a private party at a North Birmingham social club. A shooter or shooters unleashed a flurry of bullets that killed 2 men and 2 women and injured 10 others. Those killed in that incident were Angela Weatherspoon, 56, of Center Point, Markeisha Gettings, 42, of Birmingham, Stevie McGee, 39, of Birmingham, and Larandis Anderson, 24, of Center Point. He said the department has a strategy to do that, which includes deploying every detective in the department to focus on the 2 investigations. We know 100% there are people who know who is responsible and what happened. We need that information. The challenge is, how does law enforcement or government change the behavior of adults? How do you change the behavior of someone who uses a firearm to resolve all of their issues? That's very difficult. That's the underlying issue. Thurmond and Woodfin said, as they have many times in the past, that police need the public to come forward. The mayor called it a public plea. The Birmingham Police Department's investigation is better off with credible information that comes from the community. Let me define how swift justice works. We can move at a very high speed to solve these cases and bring justice to these families, but it moves faster if we get community buy-in, community support. And there is another photo, and this looks like a very nice neighborhood, at least to me. So again, that was Echo Highlands neighborhood. Councilwoman Tate did not speak at the press conference, but released a statement Sunday. I am heartbroken this morning. Birmingham has experienced an appalling violent 24 hours, and I, like many in our city, feel grief-stricken. We've said it too many times, these acts of violence are senseless. They must stop. We cannot become desensitized to this public health crisis. We all want and envision so much more for our city. As chair of public safety, I've also said this many times. We can't police our way out of this. We need everyone's help and commitment, from our neighborhood leaders, our churches, our businesses, elected officials. Everyone has a part to play. We all have to work together to make the changes that we so desperately need in our communities. The victims of these violent acts deserve swift justice. If you know anything that can help police, please be a part of the effort to make a positive change in Birmingham. Report what you know. To all of those impacted by the violence that erupted in the last 24 hours, we mourn with you. We also stand with you in the belief that Birmingham deserves more, and we will continue to fight for that vision for our future. Similarly, city leaders, including Mike McClure Jr., senior pastor of Rock City Church, said Sunday that they were troubled by the incidents. As a church, we condemn all forms of violence and stand in solidarity with those who are grieving and seeking justice. I call upon our community to come together in love and unity, to support one another and work toward creating a safer and more peaceful city for all. We must come together to address the root causes of violence and work towards solutions that promote healing and reconciliation. Thurmond thanked first responders for their work over the past 24 hours, including Birmingham Fire and Rescue Service, the Jefferson County Coroner's Office, UAB Hospital, and Princeton Baptist Medical Center. When you have a large-scale shooting like we did, it's very taxing, Thurmond said. He also had a message for the shooters. To those responsible for those heinous crimes, I want you to know that we'll be coming for you full force with every piece of law enforcement that we have. We will be coming for you. To the community, we hear you, we're with you, we're doing everything we can to bring justice to these families and to restore safety and peace to our communities. We will not stop until that is achieved. Saturday's 7 homicides raised the total number of slayings in Birmingham this year to 89. There had been 74 homicides as of July 13th, 2023. In all of Jefferson County, there have been 112 homicides, including the 89 in Birmingham. People with information about homicide can upload evidence about the homicide can upload evidence in the triple and quadruple homicide investigations by following this link. The department on Sunday also provided a QR code that community members can scan, which goes to the same information portal. There's the QR code. People can, oh, and that just talks about that. All right, so that was that. And interestingly, all these ads for rebounders, Google's watching. Google is watching. On a side note, I did invest in a new rebounder. Very excited about. Okay. There is actually one more article that I just need to find it, but it does talk about one of the victims, and this family has been through a lot. So let me just see if I can find, here it is. Okay, so let me share again. Hey, Stoned, how are you? Long time no see. I haven't caught one of your lives in a while either. Where am I going? Right here. Okay, so this is from alabama.com. I don't want to subscribe, but thank you for asking. So it says, man among 4 shot to death in Birmingham was cousin to 2 killed in another quadruple homicide. Quote, they took a good spirit. So again, this man was killed this past weekend in the mass shooting at the birthday party, and he was a cousin to 2 others that were killed in a quadruple homicide. And there is, they don't have his name. Stevie McGee. That is Stevie McGee. I thought they would have, there's a photo of Stevie. That's outside the venue. And it looks like there's just, yep, just a couple more. It's awful. So it says family members of 2 men killed 5 months ago in a quadruple homicide in Birmingham's Smithfield community are still reeling from their murders, and now the unthinkable has happened again. They've lost another loved. Who is writing these articles? They've lost another loved one to gun violence in yet another mass shooting in Birmingham. Stevie Andre McGee, 39, was one of 4 people gunned down Saturday at a birthday party that also left 10 others wounded. McGee's first cousins, with whom he was raised as brothers, were Terrell Edwards, 38, and Kevin McGee, 38, both killed in the February 16th quadruple homicide in Smithfield. And I'm just going to open that just in case. There's the rebounders again. Although I did not buy a Bellicon. They are a little bit, the price point for a Bellicon is a little too high. In fact, the gathering for Edwards and Kevin McGee after their funeral was held at the same venue where Stevie was killed Saturday night. What? So the gathering after the funeral of Stevie's cousins was held at the same event venue where Stevie was killed. We are broken. We are in shock, said cousin Kawana Polnitz. We are speechless. We don't know which way to go. We're still under the bus from Kevin and Terrell, and it's like they just keep rolling over our heads, our hearts, our minds. The February mass shooting happened about 2:45 p.m. that Friday. Also killed were Talton TJ Tate, 36, and Cortez Ray, 32. So Kevin McGee and Terrell Edwards were among 4 people shot in a quadruple homicide February 16th, 2024. March, April, May. Yeah, almost 5 months to the day. Edwards was a city employee who started in public works and moved to parks and recreation. He clocked out just 15 minutes before the deadly shooting, and his cousin Kevin McGee picked him up. Not long after, someone opened fire. Edwards and Ray, one of whom was getting a car wash, fell in front of the home near the cars. Tate, a father of 4, ran a short distance before collapsing on the side of a neighbor's house. Oh my God. All 3 were pronounced dead on the scene. McGee was taken to UAB Hospital, where he was pronounced dead a short time later. 1 suspect has been charged. Similarly, family members believe McGee had just arrived at the birthday party Saturday night at the North Birmingham Social Club. Birmingham Police Deputy Chief Rodarius Mulden said police quickly began receiving calls of multiple shots fired from the birthday party. When officers arrived, they put out a max emergency call for backup because of the large number of people gathered there. He described the scene as chaotic. McGee was found shot outside of the event venue. He was pronounced dead on the scene at 11:42 p.m. Angela Weatherspoon, 56, and Markeisha Gettings, 42, were found shot inside the club. They also were pronounced dead on the scene at 11:42 p.m. The honoree of the party was Weatherspoon's son. My God. Hey, True Jedi, thanks for being here. A rebounder is just like a mini trampoline. Multiple victims began showing up at area hospitals with gunshot wounds, some transported by Birmingham Fire and Rescue Service and others by private vehicle. Police initially said 9 others were wounded, but updated that number Sunday to 10. Lorandis Anderson, 24, was pronounced dead at the hospital at 11:52 p.m. No arrests have been made, and police and city officials have issued multiple pleas to anyone with information to come forward. McGee's family said they're stunned. It's heart-wrenching, said McGee's sister, Stanisha McGee. For the same thing to happen again, it's definitely tragic. I took that hard, and I'm taking this even harder, but I have to be strong for my mother. McGee is being remembered for his kind heart and his willingness to always help others. Stevie was everything, Polnitz said. He was going to be there for everyone and try to keep the family together. He would drive from one side of town to the other to get your garbage out of the garage and take it to the curb. Polnitz said McGee was devastated by the deaths of his 2 cousins, whom he considered brothers. Stevie hasn't been himself since Kevin and Terrell passed away, she said. He was trying to find himself because he didn't know life without them. McGee's brother, Stadarius McGee, was killed in a 2013 motorcycle crash in Birmingham's Pratt City, leaving behind an infant daughter. This family cannot catch a break. Stevie McGee said Stevie McGee and Stanisha McGee have been helping to raise her since then. He was a great dad to her, Polnitz said. He was everything to her. McGee was a woodworker. He was the best cabinet maker, Polnitz said, and he could take a closet and make it look like a department store. With wood, he was the best. Following the February killings, the large, close-knit family has made it a point to do even more together. Okay, so here's Stevie, but it doesn't say who he's with. So that is Stevie. Since Kevin and Terrell's death, we as a family have been trying to do stuff every 2 to 3 weeks so we would have good memories, Polnitz said. We can't stop what the world is going to do, but we just want to be around each other for joyful times. Over the 4th of July, the family gathered at Spring Valley Beach in Blountsville. We had a great day. The family got tickled because McGee, known for his love of nice clothes, showed up with his beloved book bag that contained several changes of outfits and shoes. He was a fantastic dresser, his sister said. He was always going to have the nice outfit with the nice shoes to match. It was never a dull moment with him, she said. He was always smiling and joking. He was funny and the life of the party. He wasn't going to miss anything. McGee was always there for those in need. You could not find one person that wouldn't say, he was always there for me. He always showed up for me. They took a good spirit. Nobody could grasp what we're going through unless they walked in our shoes. Anyone with information is asked to call Birmingham Homicide Detectives at 205-254-1764 or Crime Stoppers at 205-254-7777. That is awful. That is awful. That family cannot catch a break. All right, so that brings me to the end of what I had planned. Again, for those of you who came in a little bit later, there were two different incidents in Birmingham this past weekend. One involved 3 individuals in a car who had been shot. All lost their lives, including a 5-year-old boy. It was initially called in as a car accident. However, when police arrived, they discovered that all 3 had been shot. And the second incident happened about 7 hours later, as we heard, at an event center / nightclub birthday party where 14 were shot, 4 of them fatally. And that person didn't even enter the venue. They just drove by shooting into the venue. And I can't fathom, again, not only the families, the friends, those loved ones who are going through this, but the people who witnessed it. You know, the trauma and emotions and guilt possibly that they're feeling is just too much to bear. Too much to bear. So I am going to just quickly kind of change gears. I just wanted to bring one little update in regards to Taylor Casey, whom, if you don't know who Taylor Casey is, she at the time was 41 years old. She had been attending a yoga retreat in the Bahamas. And on June, actually, let me rephrase. She was last seen on June 19th, 2024. She was reported missing almost 24 hours later after she didn't show up to any of her yoga classes on June 20th. And her phone, her niece pinged her phone in the ocean. Law enforcement has told the family it was found at a depth of 56 feet. However, in my research, have found that it couldn't have been on the There we go. Okay, so I thought I'd be back sooner, but apparently my phone, the 5G, wasn't working either. But as happens when the power goes out in a split second, so does the router. So I will not be able to show you what I had on Taylor Casey because I'm on my phone now. But thank you everybody for sticking around until I got back. Actually, I guess I could read it to you. I do plan on doing a live on Taylor just to show some things that I've been able to find and other things. So this press release was from yesterday, and it is from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And it says, statement on the Taylor Casey investigation by Consul General of the Bahamas, Washington, D.C., USA. A number of comments have appeared in the press originating from Chicago about the disappearance of an American citizen, Taylor Casey, in the Bahamas. The Royal Bahamas Police Force has conducted a full and thorough investigation and continues to cooperate with the family and the U.S. authorities in the discharge of the investigation. There are a number of material misstatements in the press about this matter, attributed to various spokespersons for the family. The facts as they are now established do not bear the interpretations which are being described in the U.S. media and being advanced by various spokespersons for the missing person. And my response to that would be, then why don't you release the facts? Why not correct what these, quote, misstatements are? The record of cooperation and thoroughness of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, including calling on technical expertise from the United States, is clear. It is understandable in grief that there is anxiety for a solution. This matter is resolved. There have been no complaints. This matter has been. In fact, we have been congratulated by the family and U.S. authorities. The investigation is still open. Congratulated? I find that word to be a little bit strange to use. Like, yay, great job. You haven't figured out what happened to Taylor yet. We urge those making comments, therefore, not prejudge this investigation by making comments that are manifestly prejudicial and untrue. End. That's what it says. And again, that statement was from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the Bahamas. So I will definitely show this tomorrow. Probably tomorrow I'll do a live. On Taylor. All right, so I am going to go because we are supposed to get bad thunderstorms as well. The last I checked, I had gotten an alert about 30 minutes ago. It was still 97 degrees outside, and there was a beast of a storm coming. So I'm guessing that's probably why. Know when I will go live next. So have a great rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you may be. And until next time, y'all, I will see you on the flip side.